We're going to be recording tonight. Oh,
Sorry.
so hi everyone. We'll be recording tonight. So if for any reason you don't want to be recorded, you can leave your camera off, and you're already muted. So we want to give people, we want to have this recorded so we can put it on our website and give other people the opportunity to see and learn about these great resources for their kids. So my name is Rose Quintero, and I'm the project coordinator for the Minnesota Statewide Family Engagement Center, which, like I said, is a project of PACER. We're a little different in that we cover regular education. So our project, and I'll talk a little bit more about what MINSFAC is. I'm gonna stop sharing just for a second so I can see another part of my screen. So if you guys just give me a minute. Okay. So I want to welcome everyone here tonight, and I introduced myself. We're going to have 4 speakers tonight, and they are Andre Phillips, who is the Youth and Family Programs Manager at the Bakken Museum, Kara Newby, who I think is, sorry, I missed your title, Kara. Is it Family Coordinator or Youth Coordinator?
I'm the Marketing and Communications Manager.
Okay, sorry, Marketing and Communications Manager for the Works. Paul Santh is Assistive Technology Specialist at the Simon Technology Center, which is housed at PACER. And Kayla Dvorak is the Assistive Technology Specialist at the Simon Technology Center. Let me go over a few housekeeping tips. I'm going to go back and share my screen. Sorry, I'm using one screen instead of 2 monitors, so I'm struggling a little more today. Let's see if I can get this going. Okay. Do you guys see the, you can just nod if you see computer logistics and housekeeping. Great. Okay, thank you. So you're all muted, all participants are muted upon entry, and you'll remain muted during the panelist presentation, please, just for background noise and things like that. As I mentioned, the webinar is being recorded, so you're welcome to turn your camera on or off, but definitely off if you don't want your face shown. Questions and comments you can put throughout the workshop in the chat box. And if you're on a phone and you can't access chat, or it's too hard to type that message, just feel free to unmute yourself during our Q&A, which will be at the end, to ask your question. Any technical difficulties, put them in the chat, and Kathy Brinkman, who's on screen right now, will try and help you. There'll be a link for an evaluation form, which we would absolutely love you to fill out. We'll put it in the chat box at the end of the presentation, and we'll have it available for about a week till November 15th. And we'll try and send it out by email as well to you, but we'll leave a little bit of time at the end so you can fill it out. We really take to heart your feedback and use it to make our programs better. A certificate of attendance will be sent upon completion of the evaluation, so that's how you get that. And while the panelists are speaking, if you're not as familiar with Zoom, you're welcome to use your the view, which only allows you to see your speaker and maybe their slide, or just the speaker that's speaking, if you don't want to be distracted by others. Otherwise, you can have the gallery view and you'll get to see everyone on your screen. And I think that function is on the top on the right. It says view, and you get options for how to view the participants and the speakers. Handouts and other materials will be sent in a follow-up email after this. So when you registered, you gave us your email. So we'll send out any handouts, materials that are mentioned during this, as well as that evaluation link in a follow-up email a day or 2 or 3 after the workshop. So those are some logistics. Our agenda today will be introductions. The panelists will each present for about a total of 15 minutes. So we'll do 10 minutes with each of them will present, and then we'll do some questions that I'll ask the panelists, and then we'll do an audience Q&A for the last 15 minutes and the evaluation form for the last 5. So that'll be kind of how our evening will go. Just wanted to put a last minute plug for PACER's annual benefit, which features Steve Martin on September 13th. That's this September at 7:30. And if you are interested, you can go to our website for tickets or more information about the benefit. Should be a lot of fun. Even though it's still virtual, it's a great program. So just a quick overview of the Minnesota Statewide Family Engagement Center. This may be the first time you're hearing about us. We are a 5-year project funded by the Department of Education, housed at PACER Center. Our vision is to support and build family, school, and community partnerships that help kids succeed. Our mission is to increase student achievement. So the goal is we want to increase the family engagement, but with the final goal of increasing student outcomes. And we do that by supporting families and educators through a variety of free services, much like the one we're doing tonight, that promote family engagement. And we do this throughout the state of Minnesota. We have some core values that kind of drive all our activities. The first one being high expectations. That high expectations are core to making sure that kids can achieve. Families can build high expectation for their kids, schools can build high expectations, and communities can too. So we try and embed that throughout our programming and through any trainings we do. Knowledge is power. When families have knowledge, information, they have the power to make good choices for their kids, and they have the power to advocate even at the systems level. And finally, that families are the center of their child's life. They are as important as the educators in their life because they are the child's first teacher and best advocate. So some of our core activities in a small nutshell is we provide resources and training for families. We provide professional development and technical assistance to partners. So those partners are schools or charter schools or community organizations on the best practices in family engagement. So then they can implement them and lead to increased family engagement and better student achievement. And then lastly, we develop and disseminate resources for family engagement and academic success. We do it through many means, including our website, which is, I encourage you to look at, and I'll put that in the chat. The core components of our program are that we have a partnership with the Minnesota Department of Education. We're housed at PACER. And as I mentioned, our partners include school districts, charter schools, and community organizations. And one of our large focuses is making sure we support racially, culturally, and economically diverse families who often face many barriers to engagement in the educational system. So a lot of our activities focus on reaching those groups and making sure they have the opportunity to fully engage. That is all I have for the Minnesota Statewide Family Engagement Center. Let me unshare. I feel sometimes I need to talk through what I'm doing so I can do it more efficiently. So I mentioned our speakers. We're gonna give each of them an opportunity to talk about the different ways that their organizations work with students and families to promote STEAM or STEM. So that's science, technology, engineering, math, and the A that was added with the STEAM was art. And so they're going to talk about how their organizations do that and also how they outreach or reach the community, the larger communities, so that they can, a group, a diverse group of kids can reach STEM. Okay, so why don't we start? I think Kara was going to go first. Are you ready, Kara?
Sure, happy to.
Great.
All right,
And
so
I might kind of warn you when your time is is wrapping up for the 10 minutes, but
All right. Yeah, please do.
okay.
All right. I'm going to just share my screen because pictures of kids are always cute. So just give
Yeah.
me 1 second. All right. You all see that? Okay, yeah. So as I said before, I'm Kara from the Works Museum. I've been working at the Works since about 2017. I also have 2 little kids that are Works Museum aged for the audience. So if you haven't heard of us, we're a local museum. We're also a nonprofit education-based organization in Bloomington. We're at 98th and Lindale area, just off of 35W. So we're pretty much just a hands-on engineering museum for kids and families. We focus on ages 5 to 12. And our whole thing is that we believe that kids are born natural engineers. They're curious, they're creative, they're inventive, they're full of bold ideas. So our whole thing is to keep kids engaged in engineering and STEM as they enter grade school and middle school. This is like a time when a lot of children sort of self-select out of STEM subjects. There's a lot of reasons for this, but a lot of it revolves around not having those early STEM experiences and not seeing themselves represented in STEM fields. And so that's something that we really work hard to, to make sure that every child can see themselves in STEM. And, so our mission is to inspire that next generation of innovators, engineers, and creative problem solvers. So this literally begins right when you walk through the door. You can see this gigantic Connects machine. It was designed by a local creator named Austin Granger. He has spent hours and hours building this for us, and it's probably what we're most known for. It's the only exhibit in the whole museum that you can't touch. And so that's always the first step. When you go into our experience gallery, we have all of our activities are on one level. There's open sight lines. Parents and teachers can come with their groups and their kids and be able to see them all at one point at one spot. And that is definitely a big bonus where you can kind of observe all the kids at one time. So yeah, all of our activities are based on kind of that engineering design process. So we have prompts on all of the signs. We have materials set out for kids to explore, and we basically just give them a challenge and encourage them to make it better. So this is kind of what we operate almost all of our programs about. We follow the engineering design process as a staff. We do it with our kids in our programs, and yeah, so everything we do is all about that, hands-on exploration. We encourage, parents to get involved. We definitely think that, it's the most enriching experience when the parents build with the kids. Sometimes the parents get more into it than the kids. We have all sorts of things. So basically engineering, it covers everything. I think, a lot of people have this very narrow view of it, but it can be coding, it can be sensors, it can be medical, it can be everything. So we try to have a diverse amount of activities. You can see these little B-bots that kids are learning the basics of coding. We have bricks where kids are learning about pixelation, and we have a maker space and things like that. So yeah, all of these activities are meant to be child-led. It's all about that engineering design process. But now that I've shown you some pictures of our gallery, I'll share that this is really only just a sliver of the work that we do. We are really, I would say about 60% of our work is with school groups, and even more with camps and birthday parties. And so we have tried to create access engineering experiences wherever we can for kids. Camps are one of the biggest things that I just think are the most fun. I love getting a chance to stop in our camps. They're especially useful for parents who like me are working and need somewhere for their kids to take to go and have a fulfilling experience during school breaks or summer. We do anything from coding to engineering structures to, I'll show you just a little clip of a video here of we have an amusement park design camp, and maybe it will, maybe it won't. But just to kind of give you some visuals of like, it's not shiny, it's not, you know, super, you know, expensive materials. We kind of do everything from like computers to literally cardboard. And these kids are learning how to wire circuits. They're learning about physics, how things move. They're given, you know, the tools and the information that they need to create these things. And then we just kind of let them run with their ideas. And it's just such a wonderful thing to see kids, you know, really have ownership over what they've done, and to show their parents are just so thrilled and delighted. Like, look what I made. So I'll just move on. This will just show amazing. I could watch these little spinning things all day. Oh, maybe it won't move. It's frozen. Okay. So this is, here is our, you know, just some pictures of our educational programs. And this is really a huge piece of what we do. We obviously invite kids to the museum. Your children may have been on a field trip here if they're in elementary school, but we're also going out into schools now. That is a big piece of what we do. A lot of schools we're finding don't have the budget for buses. Especially during, you know, the pandemic, we've really been able to adapt our programs. We can lead workshops virtually. We've recorded workshops that teachers can, you know, schedule for whenever they need it, or we can teach live. We're just trying to do everything we can to get out into the community that really would like us out there, but maybe have barriers to participating. You know, not everyone can take 20 buses for the day. So yeah, all of our programs are aligned with the Minnesota Science State Standards. And so that kind of helps some of the teachers, you know, meet some of the harder to meet standards, like things like explaining electromagnetism to fourth graders is tricky. So we work really hard to provide that for teachers in the community. We also do family events. This is just a picture from our Girl Time event. We have a few initiatives that are all just about creating access for families and schools. This is from our She Engineers program, which focuses on raising the, you know, the view of women and non-binary people in engineering. You know, a lot of times I think we think that things are a little more equitable, and, you know, women are still extremely underrepresented in STEM. And so we've got a lot of research showing that, you know, events like this that create a positive, fun, early experience has a huge impact in whether a child will continue to pursue those interests later on. So this is just one of a few family events that we do. We also offer a gateway program, which is designed to, it would provide subsidies for schools to do field trips, and it also provides very affordable memberships or reduced admission for families to participate in our museum or events and things like that. So I think we're kind of coming to the end. Just making sure I didn't miss anything, but yeah, I mean, it's a fun place to come. I love the museum floor, but really almost all of our programming is just about making sure that kids see themselves represented no matter what in STEM fields, and have those early experiences. It makes such a huge difference. You know, whether it's a program focusing, you know, on girls and engaging families like that, or working with an organization that will help us, you know, represent different cultures in our exhibits. You know, all of our programs are really to just make sure that kids have these experiences and are able to, you know, participate in these. And I think that, oh, I just closed up by accident, but that's the end. That's pretty much what I had to share. Yeah.
Great, thank you, Kara. That was a really great overview. I think we're gonna have, you guys can keep your questions for Kara and until the end. We'll just move on to Paul and Kayla from the STC. I'm not sure which is gonna present first. We had a speaker from the Bakken. His name was Andre, but for some reason he's not able to come tonight. So we'll have to, you know, we'll use that time to do more questions for the panel. But I'll pass it on to Paul and Kayla, and they'll talk about Simon Technology Center.
All right. Thank you very much. I'm going to share my screen here. All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Paul Sanft, and I am an assistive technology specialist at Pacer's Simon Technology Center. I've been working at Pacer for almost 5 years now, and I run our Tech for Teens program. Along with some other things, but that's the one that's relevant for today's topic. And joining me is Kayla. Kayla, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Kayla DeVork. I am relatively new to Pacer. I was hired in the end of June, and I am responsible for Tech for Girls and Excite Camp, which is a 5-day program that you'll hear about in a little bit.
So our STEM programs or STEAM programs that we have at Pacer, I want to focus on those, but there's some other things that our Simon Technology Center does. And we actually do a ton of different things. I can't get into all of them, but there's a couple of things that are relevant to talk about in relation to what we do for STEM. And our technology center is all about assistive technology and making it available and known to people with all manner of disabilities, all ages. And we do that through a number of different ways, whether it's through just information referral. So someone could just call and say, what's a tool that can help me do this thing? And we'll let you know, or we'll figure it out if we don't know. But the other thing that we do a lot of are individualized consultations, learning about what assistive technology is. How it can help you with the goals you're trying to accomplish. And then the other thing that's really popular about what we do is we actually have an assistive technology lending library. So we have all these different devices, from adaptive keyboards and mice to daily living things like different types of bowls and cups and everything in between, communication devices, and just the list goes on. We have a list of like 1,800 different devices that are available to be checked out from our library, so people can get access to these tools to see if there's something that will work for them. And really the whole purpose of the Simon Technology Center is to get that understanding of what assistive technology is, what types of tools are out there to help you no matter what your disability might be. And that's where our STEM programs come in. So I run our Tech for Teens Tech for Teens program, and it's a monthly workshop. And right now we are doing them virtually, but we will be back in person eventually. I'm certain of it. And so we do all sorts of things, from coding to 3D printing. Recently, we just did a virtual reality workshop where they learned how to code their own virtual reality environments. And really, there's kind of two focuses on that. One is to get people interested in STEM education careers and see that no matter what your disability is, there's a place in STEM for you. And that's and a lot of times kids who come to these workshops, they've never done some of these things before. And a lot of times they don't know that they can do them. And so where our assistive technology knowledge comes in is, no matter what they come in with, whatever their disability is, we'll have a tool potentially that's going to help them and make this process easier. Whether it's something simple like a different shaped mouse or a communication device, or any manner of things. Like a great example I like to talk about, we had a young student come in who was blind, and these robots in the corner, these little white robots, someone might look at that and say, how could someone manipulate those little things when they're blind and see all these little tiny things to work with? And working with his group, they were able to put that together. And then his role was really in that coding piece of it. And we had tools that could read the screen for him, and he was able to work with that. And it just showed him, and especially his parents, that this is a field and something that is within reach for him. And that's one of the best parts of these programs. A lot of time people don't know that they can do this. And this program shows them that there are options, there are tools to help you. And that's one of my favorite parts. And so people, kids, they'll leave these programs with the confidence that they can learn something new that may have seemed just beyond reach beforehand. So that's kind of our Tech for Teens program. And then I'll let Kayla talk about our Tech for Girls and Excite camp, because those are just as awesome.
Thanks. Yeah, so Excite Camp, as I mentioned, is a 5-day summer camp for female identifying students with disabilities, typically in the middle school age range. We spend 5 days exploring all different areas of STEM. The really cool thing is we partner with community organizations and like Best Buy and The Works came last summer and taught the students how to, I think we did the fans with the motor. So that was really fun. They really liked that. So they also, so the whole week, the 5 days, they're getting to do all kinds of really cool STEM activities and also connecting with local organizations and companies, like Best Buy, Accenture, I forget, Medtronic was there this last year. There's so many, it's hard to keep track. So it's really cool because they bring volunteers, and then these volunteers can connect, and they're connecting with people at organizations and seeing the ways that they might fit in these roles in these organizations, and seeing what types of activities or STEM related content they might like, because it's different every day. It's not the same thing. One day is coding, another day might be architecture, another day might be material science or engineering. So this last summer was my first summer, and it was a blast. I'm looking forward to Excite 2022. Hopefully it's in person, but right now we're just in the planning stage. So the link for the website is there. To keep an eye out. We'll update it as we get closer. And then Tech for Girls is similar to Tech for Teens. However, it's for female identifying and non-binary middle school to high school age students who are interested in STEM. And again, it's also with a focus on disabilities, and allowing individuals to engage STEM who maybe wouldn't have thought about doing some of these activities. We have November and December workshops are live. So November we are doing comets. We're gonna make our own comet replica, and then I'm gonna share. We actually have a comet that's in our orbit right now, so they'll get to hear a little bit about that and see how they could actually see that comet in the night sky. And then in December we are going to be looking at DNA and the importance of DNA. And then January's is also live, but I finished this PowerPoint slide before I knew it was live. So January is going to be augmented reality, where we'll make our own. We're going to go into a computer and make our own kind of augmented images and icons, and then use a phone to make that kind of pop up in our real world. And they are all virtual right now.
And I think what's really important to note is, we do some things in Tech for Girls and Excite and Tech for Teens that may sound complex, and that actually can get very complex, but we do cater them for all ranges of skills. So if you've never done these things before, we have it set up so that you can learn this, and you're maybe not going to be an expert by the end, but you'll get a taste of it and see if it's something that you're capable of doing. So that's always something I like
Absolutely.
to point out. Because some people, they're going to read this and say, well, I can't do that. And we argue, yes, you can. and we're going to help you do it, no matter what your skill level is.
Absolutely.
And so, we have some links on here in that QR code. Our cameras might be in the way. You might not be able to get that QR code, but Yeah, check out the website to learn a little bit more about that. The other thing I wanted to mention about these programs, especially Tech for Teens, is one thing we try to do is make these not just accessible for different disabilities, but also accessible financially. So a lot of the tools that we use are free or low cost tools. So every coding workshop we do uses some sort of free software, so you can continue learning on your own and teaching how to access that. One of the most expensive things we do is building robots, and we use a robot that's about actually this one right here. It's a little $80 robot, which can be too expensive, but then we show different ways how you can take this knowledge and buy things a lot cheaper than that, and fitting in budgets. So we try our best to keep it as low cost and as accessible as possible for all levels of financial needs too. So I think that's an important piece, that we focus on that to make sure everybody can continue doing this even after the workshop's done. Because if this is just this special moment of the only time they can access technology, then it's not as powerful as if they can see, oh, this is something I can continue doing on my own. I don't need to just have this access to this special workshop. But the workshop's pretty fun, so. And we have a couple of, I won't go through all the other things on here, but I think this is going to get sent out in the follow-up email, so you can have links and some more information about things that we do. We have prices for library membership if you're interested in that stuff. We have other projects for younger children around assistive technology, including, I have to throw out the shout out for our Go Baby Go program, where we modify Power Wheels cars for kids with disabilities so that they can control them. And that's a blast. I have a car right now in my basement ready to work on it. But anyways, that's all we have for Pacer. I mean, I could talk for a couple more hours, but I'll pause here.
Great. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Kayla. Really great information. You really sold it too. I'm ready to join the class. So it was really good. We were going to have Andre speak as well. And then I had a few questions that I wanted to pose to all the panelists, and then we would see if there was any in chat from the audience. So I'll start a little bit with my questions, and I think you guys answered the first one, but I'll just give you the opportunity if there's anything you didn't think of. The question is, what free or low cost option does your organization or group have for families, and how do families ask for that? So Kara, I think you spoke a little bit. I don't know if there was anything you wanted to add.
Yeah, so through our Gateway program, we offer admission for $5.50 a person instead of 11. And I think the better value is that we can do a year-long family membership for $25 compared to $80. And that's 2 adults and all of their kids. So all you have to do is just show proof of eligibility when you go to sign up. So just any kind of WIC or any kind of program just to demonstrate financial need, just show it when you sign up, and then you have a membership. And then that also allows for, there's a scholarship application for steep discounts on summer camp. And I guess camps during the year as well. So that's, obviously childcare is a huge expense, and, that's something that we want to make available to a lot of people during school breaks. And then also just, in addition to like our physical programs at the museum, we offer, a certain amount of free resources on our website. So like you can print off, activities that you can do with things you probably have in your kitchen or can find easily. And we often share, any free resources that we see on our social media. We're not competing with anyone. We're just like sharing anything we can find, because it's, all about getting people to do this stuff at home, with their families.
Great. And Paul and Kayla, I know most of the Pacer programs are free.
Yeah, so Excite Camp Excite Camp and Tech for Girls are both free. And if there is supplies coming up, once I get it in the system later in the year, we'll be sending out supplies for one particular item. So we try really hard to make sure it's, like Paul said, low cost or free. And Excite Camp that's free of cost no matter what. That's all provided. We provide all of that and take care of that. So.
Yep, our Tech for Teens is the same way, free workshops. As far as our assistive technology lending library goes, we have consultations are completely free. So individuals, families, they can come in and have a customized consultation on what types of assistive technology will work for you, and that's completely free. Our lending library does have a fee per year. It's $50 for an individual or family, but there are some other options to get started. If you didn't want it for a whole year, you can do it for just a month for $10. And so we're pretty accessible that way. And there's one other thing I don't remember, so I'll just stop there.
Great. And you guys have stuff on your website, like, is all this information on the website? Is that where parents can access it or ask for it or find it?
Yeah. And actually, I remember there was a question in the chat that I just noticed from Mari Cruz asking if the Simon Technology Center is accessible for all ages or just kids, and it is for all ages, from newborn on as far as you want. So I work a lot with adults, actually, quite a bit with computer access and things like that. But we, of course, cater to kids too.
And is Simon Technology accessible for all or just kids with disabilities?
That's what I was just,
Yeah, not the age group, but
I took that. Oh, okay. So it is designed for disabilities,
Okay.
but any disability would go. But we don't like force you to tell us what your disability is. So
Right.
I mean, if you were interested in learning about this technology, you could certainly learn about it regardless of if you have a disability or not. But it is designed and meant for people with disabilities.
Great. Okay, thank you. Right, Cruz said, good to know. So my other question here is, what suggestions do any of you have for families who want to do simple STEAM activities at home with their children? Do you have any activity ideas or just places that they can go and find out about activities? Any suggestions for that?
I can go.
Sure.
Yeah, so I actually just this morning was talking with our education director and saying, do you have any tips that you want me to share? And, we just talked about, you can really do anything at home, with your family to make it an engaging STEAM experience. You can never go wrong doing a design challenge. You just set some parameters and, for example, we'll do something like, build the tallest structure you can using sticks and rubber bands. And that's actually like a project that we bring to events sometimes. It's literally just sticks and rubber bands. And then you can sit as a family and talk about, okay, why, what was hard about this? How can I make it better? How can I make it taller? Can I make it bear weight or something like that? And you can really do anything. We do it with cardboard, you can do it with Lego, you can do it with anything around you, just challenge, your kids and give them something. And then you can either do it collaboratively, you can see what everyone comes up with, and I think that it seems like, oh, I have to like know all this stuff about STEM. And really it's just about that process of how you learn to make things better, how you learn to improve, to fix mistakes, to fail, all that kind of stuff. And, honestly, like we have free resources, we have activities, printable posters, all of that. But I mean, really, you can find free activities anywhere. I mean, anywhere. There are so many, just, even Pinterest, all of the other museums in the Twin Cities have so many resources available. I would definitely recommend just finding something that your kids have interest in and, challenging them to explore it more.
I love
Yeah,
that
I'll-
idea,
I'll
Tara, is the one that you gave.
I'll tack on to that idea Kara's saying, finding what your kids are interested in. And that's really where you start. Whatever they're interested in, there's probably some way that STEAM is connected to it in some form. And so just learning more about the things that they're interested in, finding those pieces, finding those ways that they're connected to science, technology, math, all that stuff. And not to continue tooting our own horn in what we offer, but especially late, this past year, our workshops have been virtual. So they've also all been recorded and are all online on our YouTube channel. So you can actually just go and watch any one of them and do those workshops, at least for the Tech for Teens. The Tech for Girls and Excite Camp is not on there.
Yeah, Tech for Girls and Excite Camp are not recorded. And that's an intentional choice. We do that to allow the participants to connect with one another and build friendship with each other, because it can feel lonely when you are maybe the only girl or only person who likes something like that in maybe a small town or whatnot. And so having it in a space, using meetings, which means we can't like live stream, we don't post it anywhere, allows them to make those connections with people.
Paul and Kayla, have you found that one thing I was thinking about that can be a barrier for families to access STEAM activities, or their kids to access it, is transportation, childcare, things like that? Have you, one kind of unintentional effect of the pandemic may have been doing things online, gave some people access to an activity that they might not have been able to do because not having the way to get to the building or the museum or the place. Have you guys seen that be a benefit for you? Are you thinking about maybe keeping both a remote and an in-person aspect?
Certainly been a discussion when talking about Excite Camp, but again, that's like we're in the very early stages for 2022, but I know that there was a few participants for that who would not have attended had it not been virtual last year, because they're out in rural Minnesota. So
yeah, we get that a lot in Tech for Teens. We've had multiple people say they wouldn't have come, and they're so excited now that they can attend this because it's virtual, because they just didn't have the transportation that could get them to that location. So certainly for Tech for Teens, we're going to continue. When we do go back into person, we'll pop up a webcam and continue streaming that so people can attend from anywhere. And that's the thing about virtual. A lot of people talk about how challenging it's been, and it has been for a lot of kids, but it's also been really great for some kids. And so we don't want to take that away from the kids who have really benefited from the virtual environment. We're going to keep that going as much as we can. But that in person is still so important to so many kids too. So we're excited to get back to that.
Tara, have you guys seen that at the works at all? Have you been doing virtual programming?
Yeah. Last year we did we did almost all of our camps virtually. We're back to in-person camps now, but the majority of our audience is school groups and things like that. And we have had, a great response to our virtual programs. I mean, everything we're working towards is getting, access for everyone in Minnesota. And so we've been able to, reach rural students and things like that. We can just mail them the materials and we give them the exact same workshop experience that they would have at our site. It's just, you see the educator's face, or we can package it up so that they can do it even if they don't have, internet access or something like that. So we've talked to some of the teachers that have booked the programs, and I was really surprised at first because I thought everyone was getting virtual fatigue, and we do to some extent, but the majority of the people who had booked a virtual, field trip or workshop or, event or something like that said that they would absolutely do it again in a non-pandemic year. It just made things that much easier for them. And that's what we're all about. If that's what they want, we'll keep doing it.
That's a great option. So I just want to remind audience members to go ahead, put your questions in chat. If you want to ask a question, then you can't access chat, just come off mute. Don't be shy, just pipe in, even if you're interrupting one of us. There was a question in chat. Why is STEAM learning important? This is for the panelists. And how does it benefit my child? Do any of you guys want to answer that?
Oh man, don't get me started. It's tough for me to answer
In
that
under 2 minutes, but no, I'm
unbiasedly,
joking. Yeah.
because I love all aspects of it, but really it's important because it's such a huge foundation of everything. You know, everything we do is tied in, for the most part, is tied into STEAM, especially now that you include that A for art, because it really does cover all subjects now when you're including STEAM. And so having an understanding of that is going to give you a better understanding of the world in general. And so that's kind of that's as general of an answer as I can give, because it's just so valuable to know how the world works.
Yeah, I totally agree. You know, we talk a lot about how, you know, kids today, you know, we want to give them these great enriching experiences just for the sake of having, you know, these experiences and learning how to think, you know, like an engineer and things like that. But, you know, we're ultimately equipping the future workforce, and all of the projections are showing that there are not going to be enough people working, you know, in these technology fields and things like that. And so, you know, it's really important, I think, for parents to see their kids interacting in STEM. We've, you know, come across some research that has shown that most of the time parents have no idea if their child has an interest in this. And I mean, we hear it all the time after an event or just a day at the museum. Like, I had no idea my kid was interested in coding, or I had no idea my child, you know, loved to build so much, or something like that. And so, you know, there's just the personal element of, you might find something that your child is passionate about and can encourage, but then also, you know, you can set them up for any number of future careers as well.
Yeah, the kids themselves might not know that they're interested in that until they give it a try, which is what we find. I mean, we have every now and then we have kids saying, "Nah, this isn't very interesting to me," but at least they came and they know that now. But we usually win most of them over. but that's the idea behind it.
Yes,
Yeah.
Paul and Kayla and all the people at SDC are super fun, as well as being interesting. So
I personally think all the activities are great. I'm very excited for what's to come this year. I both what Paul and Kara said I can't really add much more to that. It's just, it allows kids to really just be hands-on with things and then take what they've learned and think critically about the world outside of just those items, because all of it, the S, the T, the E, the A, the M, those all require some level of critically looking at whatever they're working on or creating. And so it just builds and allows them to think about things differently,
Yeah,
and
and just the
supports
life
their
skills
learning.
of, yeah, learning to make mistakes,
Yeah,
and
or
to persevere through that is such a STEM thing.
yeah.
yes, my son is taking a computer science class, and I see him all the time hitting walls and then trying to persevere through
Well,
them. So,
coding is a whole other,
yeah,
yes, that's
but it's wonderful. I mean, it's part of the process.
yeah.
So we're coming up at almost 7:25, and I wanted to leave a little bit of time for you guys to fill out our evaluation form. I do want to give anyone an opportunity to just come off mute and shout out any questions. So I'm going to be quiet for about 20 seconds and see if anyone needs to do that. Sometimes it takes a minute to get off mute. So I don't see any other questions in the chat. No one has come off mute. We can definitely get you guys these wonderful panelists' contact information if you wanted to contact them directly by email. In the chat is our link to our evaluation. I would really appreciate if you would fill it out, and we'll just leave the workshop going for the next 5 minutes or so you can access that link and stay on, and then you can just leave when you're done. I want to thank everyone who decided to attend tonight for doing this. You're doing a great service for your family and your kids, and we hope this inspires you to now go out and talk to your kids about STEM and kind of find out what they're interested in. I want to thank Paul and Kayla and Kara from the works. Thank you guys for giving your time tonight.
I saw that, Mari Cruz, you had you're unmuted. You still want to ask that question? Because I would love to answer it.
No, I just want to say that thank you for mentioning. I mean, both of you said that it's very simple to entertain and expose our kids to technology, because sometimes when you mention technology to families, they think about expensive. And now I can, you know, I have a tool to say it doesn't necessarily need to be expensive. So thank you for that to the three of you. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, you can make silly putty with laundry detergent and water and glue. So it's amazing what you can do. It's
Thank
messy.
you. Thank you.
And we recently put out a newsletter through our MinSpec network, and it was about family engagement in STEM. And I know we gave some websites that you can go to find activities, kind of like Kayla's been mentioning, and Paul and Kara, that are just with very simple household items. So that would be a place to refer families. We can resend that to anyone that wants it. But I'm so glad you brought up that point, Mari Cruz. I think people hear technology, they think expensive, or they think too complicated, too hard. I need to know, be more educated than I am. And so this really helps to make it feel more accessible to more people. Great. Anyone else want to come off mute and say anything? Kathy has put in the chat that she's going to send some fun, inexpensive links tomorrow in that email. So you guys will get that. So I'll refer you back to the chat. You're welcome, Sherry. Refer you back to the chat. The evaluation link is there. Please click on it, fill it out. It won't take you very long, maybe all of 30 seconds. And we appreciate your time and have a great evening. I'm going to keep the meeting open though, so you can access that link. Thanks so much. Anyone else need me to keep the link open? Okay, then I'm going to say goodnight to everyone. Thank you to our panelists, and we'll all see you soon.
Good night.
Bye,
Thank
Mari
you.
Cruz.
Good night.